Great. So let's jump in. So tip number 1 out of 10, understanding
Yeah.
what is a trademark.
Yeah, it's sounds so basic, but it's really the foundation of starting to succeed with your trademark protection. And if you're more into the advising of others about trademarks, it's also really important to have them understand where it all starts. So really getting trademark registration is all about getting an exclusive right to the use of a brand and being able to stop others from starting that use in the marketplace once you've registered your brand. A trademark registration can be for any type of sign. It can be words, slogans, taglines, a logo, just an image. It can be a combination of all those things. I think a lot of times it gets forgotten that it can actually also be quite special branding features like sounds or shapes, movements, colors and smells. And they're a bit more unusual to be reflected on a trademarks register, but you definitely see it in some big brands. I know M&M has a movement trademark for their M&M, how do you say, their M&M little figure that moves around, yeah, in their advertisements. And Coca-Cola has trademarks for their shapes of the Coca-Cola bottles. So it's definitely something that people add to their trademark portfolios. So businesses that see a kind of a feature like that as something that really adds to the distinctiveness that they hold in their brand. And that's really the basics. Yeah, that's really the basis of trademarks.
Tiffany does their little their boxes, the little pouches. They've registered trademarks for the little pouches, the Tiffany pouches, the color, the Tiffany teal, all this sort of stuff that's used to identify their brand and distinguish them from others in the market. So what sets the business aside, and obviously they've these types of businesses work really hard on color palettes and the schemes and how stuff is portrayed. Like obviously there's different types of intellectual property protection you can get around designs, but some of these businesses will also try and register trademarks for this type of stuff as well. That Coca-Cola is a really good example. That the shape of the old 50s, 60s, the bottle, that's a really unique shape, and anyone using that shape, they're saying that this is a trademark of Coca-Cola because it identifies our goods and our goods that we sell. And if someone was to come along and use that same shape of that bottle, then that would mislead and deceive the market and confuse them as to who the origin of those goods and services are.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of intellectual property in that sense as well. It all complements each other to protect a business and its appearance in all types of features. So even for design, you can get a trademark, you can get a design registration, perhaps you can patent some kind of feature of a product or a thing. But it all works together to protect a business as a whole and its branding and its distinctiveness. And trademarks are the same like that. Anything that will be adding to the capability of setting you apart from competitors or other traders essentially can be registered as a trademark. Of course, it's still a case-by-case scenario, but that's the basic rule when it comes to trademarking.
Nike, as an example, the swoosh. Now, you remember how they used to use Nike and the swoosh together?
Yeah.
Now they just dropped the Nike. Well, they have done for the last 5-10 years, but they've just dropped the Nike completely, because now the swoosh is synonymous with Nike. It's synonymous with the brand.
Yeah.
So you've got, and then Just Do It as well. So each of these unique pieces of intellectual property, the brand, the Nike, the swoosh, Just Do It, they're probably all sort of getting close to having exactly the same value as each other. Which is incredible that a tick
a
can
very
be
strong portfolio. Yeah.
synonymous. And there's a great story with the lady that designed the swoosh, and I think they ended up giving